Hello, thanks for tuning in to another episode of our how-to series. This episode is how to improve your snap tee cast. We filmed a little bit before this how to improve your double spey cast. And if you haven't seen that video, I suggest you watch that one first. There's a lot of similarities between the two. The paths and moves are different, but there's a lot of similarities. But the main reason I want you to watch that is there's a very good explanation in that video of why it's important to practice with a longer head spey line rather than your average Skagit or Scandi. You can make a lot of casting mistakes with a Skagit and Scandi and you don't know it. With a long head line, you'll know it. So watch that video first, get an understanding of why it's important to practice with a longer head line, get yourself a longer head line, and then let's take a look at how to improve the snap tee cast. We're going to focus on three particular things, that's all. And the three particular things are what's called the XY axis, the box, and a large D-loop. The XY axis is simply a picture you have in your mind. You draw a line downstream of you, and that's pretty irrelevant. But 90 degrees to that, and in front, you draw a line in front of you. And 1 foot from you, there's number 1. And 2 feet from you, number 2. And 3 feet from you, number 3. There's got a 13-foot rod here, so that mark would be 13. And the reason that's important is because you can make your snap tee, the setup stroke, a couple of different ways. And the way you make it influences where your fly line lands on this axis. For example, if I do my traditional snap tee or circle spey or C spey with a lift and a curve like this, that line lands more than a rod length away from me. So 14 or 15 feet away from me. Compare that to adjusting that stroke, that kind of setup stroke, to a vertical wave, what a lot of people call the original snap Z, where you just go up and down. And when you go a vertical wave, you'll get the line to land a lot closer to you than when you do this circular movement. So let's just show you those two as a comparison. The original way with a circular snap C lands at 8, 10, 15, 20 feet away. When you come round, you create a D-loop that's a kind of a small to medium size, but it didn't go out great. And this video is all about making you a much better than an average snap tee caster. So my first change is that I'm going to have the rod pointing straight down the river, and I do much more of a vertical wave. Lift the rod up, chop it down, and that's what sends the line close to you. It gets it close to your body because you're not curving your rod away. Then if you complete that stroke, I'll show you, if you complete that stroke, there's the snap, you have a lot more slack that turns into a huge D-loop. You have a much bigger D-loop behind you, much more load, because it landed so close to me. That load is great. So the first thing to focus on really, when you want to improve your double spey, and you've got yourself these longer head lines, is to start focusing on trying to land the line a lot closer to you than the curve of the snap tee or the circle spey. In a similar vein, you're also trying to land the line in what's called the box. And the box is best illustrated by me taking my rod, pointing it at the camera, making a little splash, and I draw a line from the splash to me, 90 degrees to that on my upstream side, another splash, and I complete this imaginary to create a square. It's like I complete this L shape to create a square. So there's an imaginary square on my upstream side. And the second point of focus, once you're starting to land the fly line closer to you on this snap tee, is to land the tip of your line, the connection between your leader and your fly line, in that square. Like if you do it wrong, like this, it goes so far upriver and so far out of your square, there's zero chance of you making this cast work with a long belly line. It would probably work with a Skagit or a Scandi, but not with this kind of outfit. And equally, if you make that same stroke and it's soft and pathetic and it lands below your square, that isn't going to work either. So your objective and your practice kind of mantra on this snap tee here is to practice so that when you finish this stroke, the tip of your line lands straight in that square. And now, anywhere in that square will do, you're set up for the best snap tee of all. And the final part of making a really good snap tee is all about the acceleration. And the crux to this is to think about the energy of a cast in a single 180 degree plane. If I want to cast towards here, like just below the camera, and I look at the back of my rod, it goes back to these bushes here. So my lines of energy in my cast are back to this bush and forward to this tree. What that means is I want to focus my acceleration in this cast along just those lines. What am I talking about? Well, let's just show you. I'll do the first couple of moves that I discussed, but watch the regular snap T acceleration where I just go from here to here at one speed. And that is at the same speed that I rotate all the way from the start of the D-loop stroke to the end of the D-loop stroke. And now compare that to the more advanced version. Slow motion first, set it up right, slow, 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 accelerate away from your target. And look what that does. It gives you a beautifully aligned D-loop. Because by accelerating straight away from your target, you load everything up tighter and better for your forward stroke. Let's do that again, but let's complete that as a cast. So I'll do the same move. You'll see the same change of speed in the second part of my D-loop stroke. I'm going to set it up correctly as I've just explained. Slow, 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 accelerate behind. Look how much line speed you get as a result. So remember the 4 tips if you talk about the longer belly line. 1, try and focus on practicing getting that anchor to land closer to you on the setup stroke. 2, try and land the tip of your line somewhere in the box. Further away from the box it is on either side, the worse the cast. And 3, probably the hardest thing, is make sure when you put an acceleration to create your D-loop, you accelerate away from your target, not just some vast swath across multitude of planes. And if you remember those 3 tips, soon you'll be throwing your snap T an awful lot further with an awful lot more efficiency. And hey, you'll be doing it with long belly lines. That's pretty rad. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you picked up a couple of nuggets there about how to make yourself a better snap T caster. And if you enjoyed it, check out the Rio website and tune in and watch a few more of our how-to episodes. Many thanks for watching this one.